everybody. My name is Aziza and it's not a name, of course, it's just Kunya and Shinizba. I think you already knew me from previous videos. And today I want to speak about how I was born and how alters could be born. Because today is my birthday. So, I was born a year ago when Ayman was accused in terrorism. A year ago, one Russian politician decided that it's very funny, or I don't know what he's really decided, but one Russian politician, Evgeny Fedorov, decided that Ayman recruiting women to Islamic State using feminist ideas. I don't know what it is and how it's possible. Ayman was really scared because in Russia people could go to prison for the less stuff. This was a really strong accusation. This accusation means that Ayman could be sent to a Guantanamo-style prison if Ayman would have ever came back to Russia. So how could it happen? Ayman was openly Muslim when Ayman lived in Russia, but in the same time Ayman was an LGBT activist and a feminist. Of course, Ayman couldn't be a terrorist, Ayman couldn't be a Salafi jihadi, because all these ideas that Ayman have was strictly against all this conservative jihadi paradigm. But in the same time, Ayman was deeply interested in all this stuff about Islamic State, about Al-Qaeda, about Taliban. Ayman tried to read everything she could find in Russian language. It's not so easy because of the Russian censorship. And like many autistic guys who have special interests, she just talking about the stuff that interesting to her. She started to repeat some phrase about Islamic State. Some phrase was just funny, kind of oral steaming, like I want to lead ISIS, I want to lead ISIS, I want to lead ISIS. Ayman just have this Echolalia style phrase in her head because it just seems to her funny. And when Ayman have a strong sensory overload, one day she just said in the street, I want to lead, and stopped. After that, Ayman told in one of their lectures that they say, I want to lead ISIS. Just like the example of Echolalia, that Echolalia, the stuff that many autistic guys have, and I would give a link below about Echolalia, but Echolalia don't mean that the stuff that you are saying you actually mean. You just started to repeat it to calm down. It could be any phrase at all. And for autistic guys with sensory overload or emotional overload, it could be dangerous because this phrase could be something that you are scared. For example, you started to repeat terrorist, 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 or here's a fire, here's a bomb, here's a bomb, here's a bomb, and police could stop you. And Ayman gave this example to understand that people could understand that why police need to learn more about autism. But one bigot who write book about autism write that Ayman actually want to lead ISIS. It was long before this terrorism accusation, long before this politician. He just write in this book that Ayman in her lecture said that they want to lead ISIS. So it's many years passed and Ayman stopped to be a Muslim. Ayman became an agnostic. Ayman moved to UK. Ayman asked asylum in UK. And Ayman continued her interest in Middle East subject. Sometimes they published, sorry I say she, maybe it's my my stuff that sometimes says misgender Ayman, but of course Ayman is they. So they published many stuff about Middle East, about, sorry, now it's some of the kids in cocoon with me, try to don't let me speak. It's really it's felt really funny when another guy in your head tried to prevent you from speaking. But it was happening now. I would try to speak more. I think someone just afraid. But it's my day, it's my birthday, so I think I have this right to speak. Okay, so I want to continue to write about Middle East and stuff in her blog. Most of the stuff was just about, I don't know, some articles, translated articles from Al Jazeera, how awful was life in Islamic State for women, or reblogging again this academic stuff, how guys in Islamic State kill gay people. So most of the stuff, or why Islamophobia lead to radicalization, or some Ayman's short notes about ageism and conservatism, like one of the reasons of radicalization. Or for example, Ayman just writes some jokes about their fictional book, dystopian book, and some stuff in these books about Middle East. So just ordinary activistic stuff and ordinary jokes about dystopia books, about the book. Yeah, in this book you have this kind of Islamic State, like ISIS, but this book is dystopia. And Russian society is deeply Islamophobic, and they decided if someone just writes Muslim, something about Muslim, and that Muslim is not awful, that not all Muslims are terrorists, that many Muslims are good guys, this person is a terrorist. I need to explain a little bit about Russia. In Russia, hundreds and hundreds of Hizb ut-Tahrir members are arrested. In Russia, all women that I knew that who ever dared to wear hijab, not a niqab, ordinary hijab, were detained or assaulted in the streets. In Russia it was very difficult to be a Muslim. When Ayman was a Muslim, especially be a Muslim publicly, even in LGBT or in leftist or in liberal community. All Russian community is deeply Islamophobic. I couldn't ever explain the level of Islamophobia, but it's more deeply level than in France. It's more deep level than in USA after 9/11. It's just monstrous Islamophobia. And because I'm write this anti-terrorism stuff, but not demonizing Muslim, and I'm write like a former Muslim, and some of this stuff they started to write when they were Muslim. Some people decided that I'm on support terrorism. All this bizarre, absurd process started after some ordinary articles, some interview with Islamic feminists. Ayman just couldn't realize that this article could become so important for many Nazi in the internet. But yeah, first the Nazi just noticed this article. After that, some other guys from I think liberal and left noted this article. It just article about Islamic attention feminism, not about jihadism, not about terrorism, about feminism. Why some Islamic women, why some Muslims became a feminist. But Nazi decided that if I'm just something say that they were interested in academical stuff about radical Islam, I'm a terrorist and was a Muslim. So if you're a Muslim and read something about Islamic radicalization, you are a terrorist. I don't know what is this logic. It's like if you're a person and you're reading something about coronavirus, you have coronavirus. I don't know what it is. It's no logic. It's no logic at all. But many people in LGBT community, in feminist community, believed all this crap that journalists and Nazis started to write about Ayman. So some journalists started to write stuff like Ayman's wife Lina want to have sex with Ayman al-Zawahiri, the leader of Al-Qaeda. Some of the journalists in just ordinary news agency write that Ayman was one who was engaged on blown up subway in St. Petersburg, in big terrorist in St. Petersburg. Another person write that Ayman working for Taliban, Al-Qaeda and Dawla al-Islamiyya together. It's just impossible. Al-Qaeda and Islamic State and Taliban are enemies. No one could work to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State or to Taliban and Islamic State together. It's just impossible. And some journalists writing that Ayman promoting feminist idea in the name of Islamic State, another completely absurd, impossible stuff, because of course Islamic State is deeply sexist organization, okay? And when they have their protest state, this protest state was deeply sexist. And everyone knew it. But Russian politician Evgeny Fedorov, this Evgeny Fedorov is the leader of some kind of alt-right group in Russia, but in the same time he is a deputy, Russian state deputy. Russian state deputy just like a senator. For example, it's like senator in USA, so it's a really important guy. And he writes that he want to start a criminal case against Ayman because Ayman, he believes all this journalist stuff, of course, about Ayman. The stuff was in the media all the day, I think. And after that, this deputy, someone showed this stuff to this deputy, and the deputy said, gave interview that he want to start a criminal case against Ayman, to ask Ayman extradition, to charge her like a terrorist, and if Ayman have ever left United Kingdom, they could kidnap her and bring to Russia like USA government kidnapped people for Guantanamo, to bring them to Guantanamo. Ayman found out about it in the middle of the night. They were shocked. And after that started it was many threats from different people, and the biggest surprise was that people with whom Ayman worked all these years, many people in LGBT community, many people in feminist community, sorry, emotional topic, and guys who have problem with their speech in confront with me. So these people, they just abandoned Ayman. Some of them started to write more shit, more lie about Ayman. Only one important activist say something to support Ayman. Most of the time when someone start criminal case against any activist or just threatened to start criminal case, it was just dozens on dozens support posts, videos. But in Ayman case, everyone remained silent despite the time it was created the first initiative group created by autistic for autistic. Despite that, Ayman have so many allies in different LGBT and feminist organizations before. They were just too Islamophobic to support Ayman. Like I said, all Russian society is deeply Islamophobic. Some feminists in Russia and LGBT in Russia even support genocide of Uyghurs in China. And Ayman just couldn't handle it. And I was born like her protector, and they protect and they alters. It was funny because I am a Salafi. I don't believe that I am a Salafi. I am just Ahl Sunnah wal Jannah kind of guy, but other guys in the system think that I am a Salafi. So before terrorism accusation, it was 0 active Salafi altars, okay? Even 0 active Muslim altars. So we have one Muslim guy, Abu Umar, and this criminal case was very difficult to him too. And I was splitted from Abu Umar and from Ayman in the same time. But could you imagine it? It was no 0, it was completely 0 Muslim co-host. But after criminal case, I was born, and I was not just Muslim, I was Salafi Muslim. And I'm still Salafi Muslim, I think. So, all the time that Russian government, all the result that Russian government have one more Salafi Muslim. Okay. So I was born when host couldn't handle some situation, and like most of the scientists agree that dissociative identity disorder is trauma-based disorder. I think all modern scientists agreed in that, and Ayman of course became a part of the system. We started to develop as a system because of Ayman's early traumas, and I was born because of the trauma, and I really love that I am alive. And all the situation with jihad case, like it's called out it now, was really funny for me, but it wasn't so funny for Ayman. So what I want to say, first of all, I want to say that Ayman was trying to find someone who could tell their story, but most of the people considered that this story just too weird to be told. In this time it was very important to Ayman to make the story public, because Ayman just an asylum seeker, and Ayman just don't ever have a proper status. So if you're a journalist, if you any person who just reading the internet and you see something bizarre about other countries and you say something that it's too weird to be true, just check information and maybe it is true, especially if this is some accusation from authoritarian regime. And another stuff that I want to say, that no one is free. It's really difficult again to speak. So another stuff that I want to say, that you couldn't be free in civil society if this civil society don't respect a right of some group. It's maybe not my idea, it's more Ayman's idea. A year ago, Ayman was talking that they are not the last, that this case would repeat itself again. Do you know what's happened? Okay, when Russian government persecuted hundred radical Muslim, but peaceful radical Muslim like Hizb ut-Tahrir guys, accusing them to be a terrorist, everyone was silent. Okay? When Russian government persecuted ordinary Muslim, like women who was wearing hijab, everyone was silent. When Russian government started to persecute non-Muslim people who say something nice about Muslim, like Ayman, everyone was silent, including LGBT and feminist community, who considered by most of the people very tolerant. Now, 2 guys from Chechnya was kidnapped, and these guys from Chechnya, this is LGBT guys, and they hate Islam because they was from Islamic fundamentalistic families, and they try to run away from their families, but the government just kidnapped them and sent them back to Chechnya, and now these guys accused to be a terrorist despite that they hate Islam and they're atheists. So now Russia persecute just people from Muslim region who hate Islam to be an Islamic terrorism if this Russian government don't like these people, okay? So now it's not about Muslim. Now it's not about people who support Muslim. Now it's just about people from region where majority of Islamic population, if government don't like these guys. So now this problem became part of the life of all these atheists who hate Islam and who are silent all these years. And I feel sorry for these Chechen guys, but I don't feel sorry for these Russian LGBT activists who was silent all these years despite all their love to civil rights, okay? So if they would have problems because they couldn't help these guys, they couldn't save them like they was going to save them, maybe it would be just. Okay, see you next time, or maybe Ayman would see you next time. I don't celebrate birthday, but it's important date for me because it's my first birthday. Yeah, like I'm exist. If you want to make me some present, you could just share this video or talk about this video to your friends or like it. Bye. Yeah, I tried to make this video more in kufa style, and despite Ayman said to me, just please don't say kufa. I was say hi despite I was going to say assalamu alaikum. And it's not my first video, I was making previous video, but Ayman decided that this video is too rude. I just don't know why I need to be nice with the guys who don't nice with us. But anyway, thank you for watching on us. I have two news for today. First of all, when all the kuffar celebrate Valentine's Day, I was thinking about how I was born because today is my birthday. And second, I want to speak about war on terror. I want to speak about the case when Ayman became a victim of war on terror.